Hello everyone, I'm Shouvik Roy from SESI ISER Kolkata, and I'm going to talk about modeling the impact of magnetic storms on planetary environments. Let me give you an overview of this presentation. I'm going to talk about the physics of the star-planet interactions, the modeling of the flux ropes. I'll share some result and I'll conclude. We all know our star Sun has a vigorous magnetic activity, and because of that it shapes Earth's magnetosphere. And we see auroras, we see space weather variations, we see geomagnetic storms, and it affects the satellites and the space missions. To prove the interactions between a star and planet, SESI has developed a magnetohydrodynamical module based on Pluto architecture, where we have assumed that it's a far out Earth-like planet. It has an intrinsic dipolar magnetic field. The stellar wind or the solar wind in this case is a magnetized shock, and the domain is full of non-relativistic, compressible and adiabatic fluid of gamma 5 by 3, and the magnetic diffusivity is low but non-zero, so the magnetic Reynolds number is very high. Here in this video you can see how solar wind forces the Earth's magnetosphere. For more details about SESI star-planet interaction module, please see the references. Now let's move to CMEs. Other than the solar wind, the coronal mass ejections of the CMEs is the most energetic way the Sun loses its energy into the heliosphere. And in this presentation, I am going to tell you about how we can model a ICME, and we can see the interactions between an ICME and Earth's magnetosphere. To model the interplanetary coronal mass ejection, that is the heliospheric counterpart of the coronal mass ejection, we have used a Goldwell flux rope model. The flux rope expansion is assumed to be negligible during the computation, and the flux rope central axis is assumed to be normal to the ecliptic plane, such that the core is passing through the Earth directly. Now it is clear that as ICME will see Earth in a shaped magnetosphere, so we have used the SESI SPIM to shape the magnetosphere first, and the output looks like this. Here you can see how the solar wind forcing creates a steady magnetosphere initially. Then ICME arrives and changes everything. If we can say that the solar wind forcing is creating a steady but dynamic magnetosphere, then we must have to admit that the ICME forcing is nothing but a perturbation to the steady state. And to understand that, here we are looking at the deformation of the magnetosphere in terms of magnetopause boundary. Magnetopause boundary is basically creates when the dynamic pressure of the incoming wind balances the magnetic pressure of the Earth. Here you can see the noon, dusk and north polar view of the initial magnetopause boundary when the solar winds already created a steady magnetosphere. But as soon as the ICME hits, in the dusk view and the north polar view, you can see how the magnetopause boundary pushes back towards Earth. And in the noon view, you can see how the magnetopause boundary shapes with respect to the magnetic field orientation of the ICME. We have done a virtual satellite observation of the modeled ICME in our computational domain. A virtual satellite is nothing but a fixed point in space measuring the magnetic field with time. Similarly, like the wind spacecraft sitting at L1 point measuring the magnetic field intensities of the incoming ICME. Here I am presenting the observation of magnetic fields from wind spacecraft and a virtual satellite of a same ICME event. You can see the magnetic field correlates very much except for the X component, because in real case the ICME was not perpendicular to the ecliptic plane. To understand the effect of the ICME forcing on Earth's atmosphere in terms of mass loss and mass gain, we have taken a box of 10 RE around the Earth. On your left, you can see how the mass outflow rate from the 6 surfaces of this box depends on the time. The green curve shows how the solar wind, increases the mass outflow rate with time. And then the red curve and the blue dotted curve shows how it further increases for an ICME. The red curve is the twisted ICME profile, and the blue dotted curve is for an untwisted ICME profile. You can see for the untwisted ICME, the mass outflow rate is maximum and almost constant throughout the passage. But for the twisted ICME, the mass outflow rate is maximum only when the ICME core hits the earth. This is because for an untwisted ICME, the reconnection on the day side of the earth is happening throughout of the ICME's passage. But for a twisted ICME, the reconnection is maximum when the ICME core hits the earth. That's why the mass outflow rate is also maximum when the core hits the earth. On your right, this is the mass inflow rate with respect to time. You can see when the wind hits the earth, it injects a plasma into the earth atmosphere, but again the rate decreases with time until the ICME hits the earth. For ICME, the mass injection remains throughout the passage and it is almost 10 times than the wind. One of the key features to estimate the geoeffectiveness of an ICME is the measurement of DST index. The Disturbance Storm Time Index or DST index is a measure in the context of space weather. A negative DST value means that Earth's magnetic field is weakened. On the other hand, the ring current around Earth carried by the charged particles trapped in Earth's magnetosphere produces a magnetic field that is directly opposite to the Earth's magnetic field. So you can say a negative DST index means a weaker geomagnetic field, means a high ring current. Though we are dealing with fluids, not particles, still you can see in this top image that the fluid is following the drift and creating a ring current. Here the arrows basically represents the vector direction and the background color represents the vector amplitude. In the figure below, you can see the actual DST index and ring current correspond to a same ICME event. And both the images correlates very well. You can see the DST index suddenly decreases when the ICME hits, and at the end it increases and stayed in a steady value but different from the initial one. For ring current also you can see the current increases at the ICME hits and then again decreases and stays in a steady value but at a much higher value from the initial one. To understand the impact of the helicity of an ICME into Earth's magnetosphere, we have plotted the line profile of the current helicity density J dot B by B square along the x-line, where Earth is situated at x is equals to 0. During the solar wind forcing, we have seen the current helicity density remaining 0 all over the x-line, but as long as the ICME hits the Earth, we have seen that there is helicity injection into the magnetotail because of the ICME. Let me stop here with the conclusion that the in situ observations support CCSPM results and make it an important tool to probe and predict space weather conditions in future. The solar wind forcing leads to a steady and dynamic magnetosphere, and the ICME is nothing but a perturbation to the steady state. The dayside magnetopause is pushed further towards the Earth by the ICME and it is deformed by the magnetic field orientations. The magnetic helicity of the flux flow distorts the shape of the magnetosphere and the magnetotail current system. The current enhancement around the Earth and the magnetotail is visible during the geostorm. The ICME comparatively enhances the in and outflow rate of the mass around the Earth. The mass loss rate is comparatively high when a twisted core is passing. The in situ DSTM index measurement correlates with the current enhancement inside the magnetopause, that is the ring current. The flux ropes can inject the helicity in the magneto tail. Thank you all for listening.